world number 3, Andy Irons, moving on to quarterfinal number 3, where he will be matched up against one of the 2 surfers currently in the water right now, California's Bobby Martinez and Australia's Phil McDonald. Now, some people have been writing in asking about fitness. There they are, Bobby Martinez, Phil McDonald. Let's talk fitness. Dino, do you think some of the boys are a little unfit, and that gives an advantage to some of the guys who have got 6-packs on their stomach rather than holding 6-packs in their hand?
Well, I think that everybody has a different approach, and I think, in all fairness, all the surfers on tour are fit. Just some of them train a bit more, some of them surf a bit more, some of them barely surf, and at this point in the game, I think everybody is fairly fit. Then again, you obviously have guys that train super hard, like Taylor Knox, and then as you see Bobby Martinez, big snap off the top from the youngster from Santa Barbara, California, as he rounds about the section, and big closeout bang for Bobby Martinez. Wow, what a way to open this heat, Dave.
Unreal. And well, he knows that Phil McDonald is a serious competitor. Phil was actually, a contender in the race for the world title last year. Had a very controversial loss to Kelly Slater in the finals of the Boost Mobile last year at Trestles,
as well as one in Japan.
Yeah, as well. So Phil McDonald, who actually Kelly calls the biggest pain in his ass. This is probably the surfer that Kelly likes to surf against the least. Is out in the lineup against Bobby, and Bobby knows that if he's going to take out Phil, he's going to have to go big from the get-go here in Bakio, and that's exactly what he's done on that one. We're waiting to see what the judges' thoughts are on that first wave from Bobby Martinez. But definitely starting off with a bang here against big Phil McDonald, otherwise known as P. Diddy, Manpower, Macca, or Super Size Me.
Well, there you go. There's a shot of the crowd rounding former world number 1, Andy Irons, who just advanced into the quarterfinals, and plenty of crowd support for him as well, Dave.
Definitely. We saw after the last heat, the mobs around Kelly Slater. And there, all the fans once again know that Mr. Irons is a 3-time consecutive and former world champion, looking to win his 4th title this year. And if he can make it all the way to the finals here at Mundaka and keep Kelly out of those finals, or if the guys on the other side of the draw can keep Kelly out of the finals, then the race is still on. Let's take a look at the replay of the first wave from the California kid, Bobby Martinez.
Well, nice overhead wave for Bobby as he rounds the bottom turn and snaps that first turn. Tons of spray off the top. Very, very minimum body movement as he slams that lip there, and that was a really quick second turn. Not really much face, but he got it up there and down really quick as he goes into this closeout turn, as he bangs that closeout, and you could see that lip coming up underneath him, and really solid footing there as he makes that last turn, Dave.
Well, for sure. Hey, plenty of speed combined with power, radical maneuvers in the most critical sections of the waves, and good for a 7.33, a high end of the good wave scores for that first wave of Bobby. As you can see, our former 3-time world champion, Andy Irons, making his way back into the contest area. And GT must be down there getting ready to get a few words from our 3-time world champ on his feelings after his first heat of the day at Bakio up against current world number 30, Trent Monroe. Meanwhile, back at the surf contest, P. Diddy going to town, Dino.
Two nice open face snaps, and a third one for Phil McDonald in a nice closeout reentry. Phil once again picking off a really good wave, and we're going to have a interview here with GT with the former world number 1, Andy Irons.
Okay, Andy, just in case you didn't know it, there's kind of a contest on, because in that heat, brother, you were looking...
I didn't know what was going on. I couldn't tell. I mean, you can't really hear out there so far out at sea, and I thought he had some scores, and I was just kind of kind of working with what I had, and it wasn't much, but it worked out.
Well, that last 6.60 that you got towards the end of the heat, I thought it was a little bit of an underscore, but you just seemed so comfortable with it.
I just cruised. It was a reform wave. I was kind of trying to get back to the right where I started at, and it just ended up being a pretty good wave, lined up all over the beach, and just kind of did the Huntington hop to the reform, and got a 6 or something. I don't know. It was enough to get through.
And then when you paddled out at the beginning of the heat, you surfed kind of the left bank of the water, but as quick as that tide goes low here, it sure comes in.
It sure does. It's like pretty much bathtub. You know, you fill it up and then pull the drain, and it sucks out. And I think they're filling it up again.
Well, you're filling up yourself into the quarterfinals. Congratulations.
Right on, stoked. Thanks.
Good work, Eddie. Hey, and by the way, I got to say hi to Miles and Wyatt at home. I love you guys. I'll be home in a couple days.
And we're back here at the back. Once again, I'm Dave Malin. This is Dino Andino. That was GT with our 3-time world champ, Andy Irons. You're currently watching Heat 6 of Round 4 in the water. Phil McDonald out of Australia. Go Mighty up against the California kid out of Santa Barbara, Bobby Martinez in red. So far, Bobby a 7.33 on his first wave. Quick in and out, good for a 0.43. And we're waiting on the first wave score, the wave score of the first wave of yellow. Phil McDonald, Mac Daddy trying to play catch-up from the beginning with Bobby Martinez.
Well, the judge is slow to the mark on the scoring here as we are waiting, anxiously awaiting the score from Phil McDonald.
Well, here, let's take a look at the replay, Dino, while we're waiting on the judges' scores.
Well, here you go, Phil McDonald. Nice set wave out the back as he cranks it off the bottom and hooks it into the pocket, and that was a serious maneuver there.
That was a money turn.
Big snap off the top, committed surfing from Phil McDonald as he picks off what looks like a gem of a wave as it keeps steaming down the line, and he hooks that second turn, throwing tons of spray. In this third turn, really nice bottom turn once again, kind of a carve off the top. Not really as explosive as the first two, but nonetheless a really nice turn as he hits this shoulder here. Nice little round off the top there as he's looking to close this one on the last turn here as he goes vertical and kind of pops that, kind of lets off the gas on that last turn, but nonetheless great surfing from Phil McDonald.
Well, I think he wanted to finish with flair, but especially make sure that he didn't go down on that last re-entry. And good decision and solid surfing from Mac Daddy for a 7.5 to Bobby Martinez's 7.33. So maybe a tiny bit repetitive on his backhand, but those first two turns were definitely unreal. Just plenty of power, speed, big spray, radicality in the critical part of the wave. Good for a 7.5 compared to Bobby Martinez's 7.33 on only 3 maneuvers. It took Phil 6 to pretty much equal that score, but solid series of turns from the big guy out of Australia, P. Diddy. So Bobby Martinez currently sitting in first position with a 7.33 and a 0.43. Second, yellow, Phil McDonald on a one-wave score of 7.5. Needs a 0.26, 22 minutes and 30 seconds remaining. Plenty of time to go in this heat. At least 2 heats left in the day. We have Heat 7 with Taj Burrow and Adriano de Souza, and Heat 8, Damian Hobgood v. Dean Morrison coming up in Round 4. And still waiting on a decision on behalf of the contest directors if we will be moving into the quarterfinals of this Billabong Pro right now. But right now it's all about Bobby Martinez and Phil McDonald. There they are, Round 4, Heat 6, Bobby M. and Phil M. USA versus AUS, the Billabong Pro 06, Mundaka, Ushkadi.
Well, looks like a paddler out the back. Looks like Phil McDonald up and riding as he drops into the double up. And big carve snap on the open face. Oh, coming unglued there is Phil McDonald, but nonetheless, really putting it on a rail on that open face, Phil McDonald. As you can see, the tide rolling in quick and conditions changing very rapidly here at the Mundaka Pro 2006.
All right, here's Phil McDonald, currently ranked 17th in the world, finished off last year ranked 7th, so highest career ranking 5th, no, excuse me, there we go, he finished 5th last year, currently 17th, so a bit disappointed by being only in the teens, Phil McDonald. Still plenty of time to go, and once again, you know when Kelly Slater calls you pain in my ass that you're doing something right out there.
Well, I can guarantee you, Andy Irons hasn't been that fun for Kelly Slater the last few years either, I mean, Kelly Slater and Andy Irons have been battling for the world title for the last, 4 years now, Dave?
Yep, definitely. Kelly came back on tour the year Andy won his first title. So just a quick word about the boy on the screen, Bobby Martinez, currently 7th, highest career ranking, not available because Bobby, once again, is a rookie. So this is his current and highest career ranking. But yeah, once again, Kelly came back on the year that Andy won his first title, and, Andy did win 3 titles in a row with Kelly on tour, and then Kelly just took it back from him. Realistically, at the end of the year, there was only 1 heat difference between the two surfers.
One placing, huh?
1 placing, yep, exactly. 1 place difference and literally one more heat. If Andy had won 1 more heat in Brazil, it would have taken it all the way to Pipeline, and things could have been very different at the end. But hopefully we'll see it quite a bit more of both those surfers in the future here at the Billabong Pro and over the next few years on the WCT, because love him or hate him, or love them or hate them, both of these are the 2 most exciting surfers on tour, Kelly Slater and Andy Irons, accounting for 10 world titles between the 2 of them currently, and 11 if either of them takes it out at the end of the year.
Well, as we're speaking about Bobby Martinez, who's currently in this heat, we caught up with him earlier about Tahiti, his win in Tahiti, and what he had to say about that.
I mean, the win was great. I've always, dreamed of winning. For it to come true was cool. But I mean, it doesn't mean nothing now. At the last 3 events, I've done really bad, and I mean, I've had like major ups and downs, this year. The biggest high I could ever get from surfing an event to losing the very first round and being completely bummed. So it's been like, I've felt everything that, winning and losing when you don't want to lose. And but I mean, yeah, I didn't know what to expect coming into this year, and I'm glad things have turned out how they were, and I hope these next 3 condos out aren't like my last 3, because it ain't that fun losing.
Well, Dave, that's a really cool interview from Bobby Martinez.
Well, yep. No, go ahead.
You can just see how happy he is. It's amazing how he comes across in his interview. It's just a really, really happy guy. It's cool to see. I'm inspired by his attitude, actually.
Oh, I think a lot of people are. Of course, all of California have been cheering Bobby on through his couple years on the WQS as he tried to qualify for the first time for the WCT for the Foster's ASP Men's World Championship Tour. And he finally managed to do that last year, and in his rookie season managed to win one of the most prestigious events on tour, the Billabong Pro Tahiti at Tehupo, where he finished 1st. And then he talked about his bad results. Well, he lost out in the 3rd round in Trestles, getting an equal 17th, which surfing in home waters in California was definitely disappointing for him. And then lost out in round 2 of the last event in France to event wildcard Jeremy Flores, who we'll be seeing a lot more of next year on the 2007 Foster's Men's World Tour. But in this one, Bobby at least 1 round farther, if not more, than he has been in the last 3 events. Currently in round 4, heat number 6, up against Phil McDonald, and 16.5 minutes, and only 1.25 points away from a quarterfinal berth at this point. But of course, situation can change. So to bring us back into it after those interviews, Phil McDonald is 7-5 on his first wave to match Bobby Martinez's 7-3-3. Then both of them kind of throwaways on their second wave, but Phil Mack getting the better of that one, a 1-0-7. So Bobby's second, needing 1.25, and he'll be looking for a lot more than that to take back the lead with 16 minutes remaining in this one, Dino. And, of course, the rookie out there up against last year's world number 5, but Bobby definitely has the talent to take it to Phil McDonald.
Absolutely, and, you can see the lineup changing as we speak here, and you got to think within the next couple of heats, it's not even going to be breaking on the outside with the tide rushing in. You got to go back a few heats, and as we see Bobby Martinez up and riding out the back, Dave.
Bobby getting some speed there, nice carve snap to start things, a little foam climb. Looks like that board is working unreal. Wave choice and equipment choice has been key here at the Billabong Pro Mundaka. And, Bobby Martinez just putting everything he needs to into that one. Picked the right board, got a good wave, and just going to town.
Really fluent surfing from Bobby Martinez. As you can see, his last turn in the whitewater, both his hands are right by his side, not waving his arms up and down and all around. Just really fluent style surfing from Bobby Martinez. We'll have to wait and see if we get a replay of that wave, but nonetheless, big carving snaps on the open face. Never really unloading a serious maneuver, but until the closeout turn, which was pretty much the most difficult maneuver of that wave. But nonetheless, that was solid surfing, and it was rewarded with a 5.83, which will put him in the lead at this time of the heat. And now Phil McDonald in second position, needing a 5.66 as you see Bobby Martinez riding this wave, Dave.
Replay once again of Bobby, kind of a bottom turn halfway up the face there. Big first turn, maybe not as much spray as everyone else, but really precise, plenty of power, speed, and smacked it up into the lip there through the foam for that second turn. And it's really bumpy out there, but you can really see how Bobby's Almeric is just working perfectly, just slicing like butter through these sections, Dino.
Yeah, as you can see, as his arms are really very minimum body movement from Bobby Martinez, like I've said a million times. Right here you can see it. It's
hips and core.
Yeah, hips and legs for Bobby Martinez. Tons of speed generated from that type of style.
So a 5.83 and leaving Phil McDonald leaving a 5.66. So we take another aerial shot of the lineup. We can go back to some of your questions and comments from the internet. Someone wanted to know if there are any other surfers that have come from Mexican descent other than Bobby Martinez. Well, on the WCT, no, but we did have our first ever Mexican national surf, Foster's ASP Men's World Tour event at the Rip Curl Search down somewhere in Mexico this year. Oscar Moncada, Squalo team rider, who put on a great show. A little shout out from some of the boys on the organization committee at the next WCT contest in Brazil, which will be presented by Billabong as well. So all the Billabong Brazil boys waiting for the B-Bong International team to make their way down there. That will be the next event on tour. The 10th of the 11 events on the Foster's ASP Men's World Tour this year will be down in Brazil, presented by Billabong. And, of course, finishing off the year on the North Shore of Oahu at the Rip Curl Pro Pipe Masters. So plenty of action still to come.
Well, with 12 minutes and 21 seconds remaining in this heat, Bobby Martinez currently leading, and Phil McDonald needing only a 5.66. Plenty of time to get that type of score, Dave.
That's, for Phil McDonald, 12 minutes is all the time in the world, Dino. And speak of the devil, here he is, P. Diddy. First snap back there from Macca. Another big backside snap, and again. Ooh, well, needing a 5.66. What do you reckon, Dino? I know we're not judges, but we have the right to have our opinion.
Well, I think you. Obviously it's not up to us, but I think he might have fallen a little short on that one. But nonetheless, we'll have to wait and see. He never really unloaded any significant turns on that wave. But nonetheless, it's coming through. One judge has a 3.5, 4, 5. Well, it's not enough, Dave. There you go. 4.0, not quite enough for Phil McDonald.
Fair enough on that one. 3 turns to start it off. He would have liked to have, completed that last little section that closed out on. If he could just done a little re-entry there. And it looked like not the typical Phil McDonald backside bashes that we're used to when the judges give him the really big scores. Well, as we saw in his 7.5, his first 2 turns were just completely beyond vertical, throwing huge spray. And we know if you're not seeing any spray come off the back of Phil's board, that it's probably not going to be a score that he'd like to have in his score line.
It looked like to me like he was halfway through that wave knowing he wasn't going to get the score on that. It was almost like his body gesture was telling, us up here and even the judges upstairs that it wasn't quite enough. It wasn't like he was giving it his all. Well, to all you spectators online around the world, I would like to welcome you to watch the Billabong 2006 Mundaka Pro, and I am here with Dave Mailman, and we are into heat number 6 of round number 4, with 9 minutes and 54 seconds remaining. We do have a clash on our hands, a goofy foot, regular foot clash with Bobby Martinez and Phil McDonald.
And what a clash it is. But while we're waiting for the next salvo in this clash, be you believers or non-believers out there, let's find out a little bit what the world's top 45 thinks about a very interesting subject called God.
Good. Cool. Hey, God should be Salt Lake. Yeah, it's good. Is there one? It's great. Lazy? I'm not sure. Hopefully I don't see him for a while. Everywhere.
That was an interesting cross-section of opinions on a very politically sensitive subject nowadays, God. Yes, no, maybe so. Well, one thing that we are sure of is here in Bakio, the surf gods are in town. There's plenty of swell out there, and the boys are out in the lineup. In red, out of California, Santa Barbara, Bobby Martinez. In yellow, Phil McDonald. Round 4, heat number 6. Coming up next, Taj Burrow, Adriano de Souza. That is going to be another very interesting one. And another interesting question, Dino, will be, are we going to just finish round 4 today, or are we going to move straight through the quarterfinals? We're going to try and get some of our techies to see if they can find Mike Parsons and get us an update on conditions and whether we will be continuing on through the quarters this afternoon or not.
Well, you got to think Mike Parsons is on the phone with Surfline and back in the States, and they're getting updates on the forecast here, and you got to think he'll be making a good decision here real soon. As you can see, a shot of current world number 2, Taj Burrow, the only one left in round number 4. He's the lone soldier, whereas the other top 4 surfers in the world are already in the quarterfinals, and Taj Burrow yet to surf in round number 4, and will be coming up here shortly up against Adriano de Souza, who is a former junior world champion, Dave.
Former junior world champion, last year's WQS World Qualifying Series champion, won it with over 13,000 points, largest ever qualification total in the history of the Foster's ASP Men's World Tour. And Taj, one of the only boys today riding alternative equipment. Before you start writing in all your questions, why don't we talk a little bit about those Firewire boards, Dino?
Well, I've been surfing with Taj a lot lately, and we surfed here the other day, and it happened to be high tide and about 2 foot faces over to the right where it only breaks at high tide, and he was really vicious. He was, just whipping aerials like they were going out of style. It was amazing. So there you go. I mean, obviously, it's new equipment. and if Taj Burrow's using it, it's got to work good.
Most definitely. He's been riding these boards for a good portion of the year, especially in the smaller conditions and the beach breaks. So those firewire boards seeming to work for him. New foam and a new stringer setup. And meanwhile, back out in the water, yellow up and riding, Phil McDonald. And here's a few words from his closest competitor right now in the water out of Santa Barbara, California, Bobby Martinez, on how he prepares for heats.
Sometimes I make surf before I heat. Sometimes I don't. The only thing is I got to be there on time. Other than that, it doesn't matter. I don't go out and party or nothing. The night before, I just keep it cool and just make sure I'm on time for my heat.
There you go. The most important thing about heat management is being there for the start of the heat. That's about the only thing that Bobby Martinez worries about.
That's classic.
Well, if you got to get one thing right, at least be there on time, right, Dino?
Yeah,
and,
absolutely. I guarantee you Bobby does a little bit more than that.
Yeah, no, definitely. Few people writing in Mexican heritage. What about Tim Reyes? It's true he does have a Hispanic last name, but not quite sure how many. I think Bobby has closer ties to the Mexican-American community than Tim Reyes does, but, it's a big melting pot over there in the good old U.S. of A. But one thing we can tell you, first ever Mexican national to surf in a WCT event is and was Oscar Moncada at the Search CT this year. And we'll just throw it back out there, Tim Reyes and Bobby Martinez, two of the California boys flying the flag with Mexican-American or Hispanic last names. So, go Mexico, viva Mexico, en España, por favor. And glad that everyone's out there listening to us and watching online from California and rooting on our Mexican Californians on the Foster's ASP Men's World Championship Tour.
Well, there's a nice shot of Bobby Martinez, seeming to be patient here as he's trying to better a 5.83, currently with priority out the back. And Phil McDonald in second position needing a 5.66 with time ticking away with only 2 minutes and 27 seconds remaining. And up next we do have Taj Burrow versus Adriano de Souza, the young rookie from Brazil, who is probably licking his chops right around now. He's probably just highly amped and frothing to try to take out the world number 2, Taj Burrow.
Well, Adriano knows he has nothing to lose. He's currently sitting 22nd on the Foster's ASP Men's World Tour rankings. This is his rookie year. He's definitely not going to be the surfer to bomb out of the next events or so. So he knows his qualification is pretty much in the bag. He's just going to cruise and have fun. Here's Phil McDonald, a fierce competitor. His qualification in the bag as well, but just wants to take it to Bobby Martinez.
Ooh, that was a serious maneuver there for Phil McDonald. This is an important reform. Unable to make that reform, and you got to think those 2 cutbacks on the outside. He kind of let off the gas on the reform bank off the foam there, and that was a nice third maneuver on that wave. But man, only needing a 5.66 is right on the edge. I don't think he quite got it. I think if he would have unloaded on those rebounds, he might have been able to get that score, Dave. But we'll have to wait and see what the judges reward that with.
Now, we'll see what the judges thought of that one. Once again, Phil Macca needing a 5.66.
And there you go. It comes through at a 5.17.
Not enough. You're right, Dino. Just didn't, put enough oomph into those maneuvers. Translate oomph, power, and speed, and a little flair, maybe.
Yeah, he looked like he was waiting for something to happen, maybe to get into the reform. And that third turn was a really solid off the top snap. But those first 2 roundhouses could have been a little bit more dramatic. Maybe, added a little flair to those, and he might have been, been looking at a 6 or something. What do you think about that, Dave?
I think you're absolutely right, Dino. The judges They dig the cutbacks, but look at that was like a 4-stroke cutback, not even the roundhouse, didn't even pull the full figure 8. Here he did on this one, but unless you're doing cutbacks on fully hollow and super critical waves, the judges just aren't scoring them. You're not going to get your excellent wave scores.